everyone, I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Mom.
And this is Millennial and Mom. And in today's video, we are here to recap another episode of Ready to Love. I believe it's season 3, but Owen keeps playing with us. So I don't know if it's season 2, season 1, but we're sticking with season 3, episode 3, Watch What You Say. And yeah, I can see where they're going with this season. So let's get into the review. Alright, so in this episode, it's going to be the ladies who's eliminating 2 men. And I'm like, hold on. That's a lot. Was it like that last season? Were they eliminating 2 at a time? Or was it just 1?
I think it was 2 at a time or whatever it was in the beginning. I think it was 2 till they get down to a certain number. And then it was just 1. Yeah.
Okay, well, still mingling around with each other, especially the ones who know they were on the chopping block this week, especially the men. So they already know they have to get out there, be proactive because they said they're ready to find love. And also, I found out what my new boo's name.
Tell the people what your boo's name is.
His name is Brian. I had to catch that really quick because they weren't really showing all of their names.
They weren't.
In the show. So David is at the table and I don't know who asked him the question, but someone asked him, how long have you been abstinent? And was it hard? And he said, you know what? He had some slip-ups, but he made it through. And, you know, it's all about discipline. And when he was saying that, Alex was giving him the eye, like, I will eat you up right now. I was like, Alex, that is my man.
She said, you know, that's not normally the type of man that she goes for, but I think they all say that pretty much. But he checks off the boxes.
Because nephew Tommy earlier was telling them, you know, just to mingle around, be with people who you might not even expect to be with. So I think that was everyone's goal in this episode, to be honest.
Definitely so, because when we get to Raymond and Simone, I mean, they both meet up coincidentally to talk about how things are going, and Raymond's like, well, you know, I was on the bottom last week, and Simone was like, well, you know, they weren't feeling my vibe either, like, I don't know what's going on. And with that, they came together, and Raymond decided he wanted to ask her out for a group date, and she accepted. Now, I was surprised at that because, yes, you need to mix and mingle, but I think that Raymond feels maybe he needs to soften up a little bit, but definitely Simone, she's probably like in the you know, phase of things, because that's what I took from that. Now, later at the group date when they met up, there was a bunch of people. It was Jay and Joy, Alicia and David, and you know, they had nice little, what you call it, curry or whatever plate going out with the cheese and the grapes
I have no idea
and the
what
crackers,
that's
whatever. It's a fancy name.
A cheese plate.
A fancy cheese plate set out, and they all got together, of course, talking about how things were going, and that's just the whole premise of the show, right?
No.
Well, how things are going to get to know each other, that is the premise of the show, like mix and mingle.
Well, yeah, to get to know each other, not how their life is going, because Simone was like, you know, I was on the bottom. She didn't really expect that, especially because David was one of her people that she was really vibing with. And David was like, you know, it kind of didn't seem like you were vibing with me. It kind of seemed like you were closed off. And then once he said that, Alicia jumps in and was like, you know, I felt that way about you too. You seemed very closed off when I was trying to talk to you. Like you didn't really want anything. And David said, oh, you know, it's just, you know, it's only day 2. We're still trying to get to know each other and blah, blah, blah. And then that's when Joy jumps in and was like, you know, it's a show that you're trying to be ready to love, so you know it's gonna be a fast process. You have to open up. And then this is when David said something. I didn't really hear exactly what he said. I just noticed that he put the finger in Joy's face, and Joy wasn't really receptive of that. And I think he did that because Joy wasn't looking at him when he was talking, and he was probably trying to get her attention, but that wasn't the way to go.
I don't know what I got from them scene, because I didn't really hear it either, because they were over talking each other. And before I can get into that, let me jump back to Simone saying what she said about David being, you know, one of her top contenders. I didn't see anyone being her top contender last week, because she was always trying to get some water to brush off the conversation. And when she did have conversation with David, you know, in his confessionals, he was like, that conversation was trash. So, I mean, like, they're definitely on separate pages. And then when Alicia jumped in to say, I felt the same way about you, Alicia has a strong personality. Her and Denise have a strong personality. And to me, I don't know, that seems like it could be a deal breaker or off-putting something for some men because, maybe their mom and dad at home with single moms, because I understand that. But you have to try to relax it a little bit. But back to the conversation with Joy, him putting his finger in her face, I think the way I took it, I could be wrong. Let us know in the comments. He was just talking. I think he talks with his hands. He's kind of like no, that's not what I think. I'm not making excuses for it, but whatever happened, whatever the conversation was, Joy felt disrespected by that.
This whole scene, we did get some more insight about Raymond. Everyone, well, basically the ladies kind of told him at the table, you having your age, well, it was mainly Alicia, being 52 with the 5 kids, everyone's not going to, like that.
Yeah, vibe with that.
Down with that. But my interesting conversation came from Simone because I felt like she definitely opened up this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely found out more about her and why she has been so closed off and she doesn't want to be vulnerable, especially her being a lawyer, being a black woman. To her, being vulnerable for someone is a luxury. And I was like, you know what? That is a good point. But then she also brought it back to when she had her past relationships and she never really trusted men because her father was always so hard on her, so down on her. And when she had that one relationship, when she had something published in a magazine, which is super awesome, he was mad over a grammatical error.
She has issues of vulnerability. Even though she's a lawyer, she may have some type of low self-esteem when it comes to her and how she presents herself. And those daddy issues. Now, if you're with somebody, your partner, who is not happy for you and is like, oh, okay, that's cool, but you forgot that period, it's time for you to go.
Right.
Because,
you get something published.
Exactly. But as far as her dad being hard on her, I guess she was trying to say he always wanted her to be perfect. So she strives for perfection. And she knows that and just all the things she's dealing with or have dealt with to open up is part of the main issue with her getting involved in relationships being open. So after that group date was over, Raymond decides to meet up with Adriana. And Adriana is the youngest of everyone that's come in. I think we touched on that last week. And Raymond was really interested in her from the beginning and vibing with her youth. That's what I took from it. Because remember, she came in, she said, oh yeah, these other ladies seem to be older. I seem to be the youngest one here. They're giving me the side eye. I was like, okay. I remember that because you said that too.
I did say that.
So as they're talking, Raymond's saying what he wants out of life and that, he's looking to be married, yes, but marriage is just a piece of paper. And Adriana's like, we're all here to be married. I don't think marriage is just a piece of paper. And I think maybe Raymond feels that way because, he has kids, he's more experienced, and, he's had particular relationships before because earlier in the conversation we didn't mention, he has 5 kids by 4 different mothers. Maybe he didn't feel fulfilled by those type of relationships.
Well, he did say in the episode that he is on a spiritual journey to find that. And I think he's on that spiritual journey now, being at his age and having all these kids from all these different women. Mm-hmm. It's because, he's used to being on the road, that road tour life. He doesn't want to be married to someone. But when you're on this type of show called Ready to Love, everyone's ready to love to be on the road to getting the ring and the paper. One of, I guess, maybe couples we can see coming together is Chris and Naya, because Chris says, you know what, he's feeling some chemistry from Naya, even though she's not the typical woman that he would go out with. So I'm like, what is the typical woman,
I was thinking the same thing. What is the typical woman?
But he wants to give her a chance. Now, me personally, I think he wants to give her a chance to solidify his spot, not only for this episode, but for upcoming episodes, because you only need that one woman, or man, depending on who you are, to have your back 100%. through and will argue anybody down in that meeting. And I think that was probably Chris's motive. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but I don't think I'm 100% wrong.
I don't know. I can see your point, what you're trying to say, but I don't know. But they go on a date. They're kayaking, canoeing, whatever they're doing. Okay, whatever they're doing. Mm-hmm. And they seem to be out there just enjoying the peacefulness of everything, the landscape, and what they said, God's creation, and just being in the moment, okay? Mm-hmm. And so while they're talking, they seem to connect on a different, higher level. I'm going to say it's more spiritual, because that's what I was getting from that, especially from Naya, for sure. Now, when they come back to shore after canoeing, they sit down. Chris has a bottle of champagne.
Sauvignon Blanc.
So here's my thing that disputes your point a little bit.
Oh.
If he is just trying to solidify his place, you don't need to do the champagne, all this stuff. You already had it set by going on the canoe ride and talking and trying to vibe. That is extra.
Well, why wouldn't you do even more extra? Having, the champagne, the wine, Sauvignon. You're having talks about, would you like to have more kids? Is that something that you would see in your future? That's something that most women, and especially being on this show, want. Maybe not for you, Mom, because that's not what you're looking for. But I think he knows that's what she was looking for, and she was agreeing with that. She was like, yeah, I can see you doing that. You so youthful and fun. I was like, oh, I was reading between those lines. I know exactly what she meant by that.
315 is my key code to my room.
So I think she's feeling him. She's digging him. She is going to ride hard for him. And he knows that. And he knows exactly what he was doing to me. Now, the biggest part of the episode was the pool party scene. We see them, first we see Brian walking in carrying Winter. And Winter's ready to get the party started. And I understand and I feel her. So she wants all the guys to start having a push-up contest without their shirts on. Mm-hmm. And while, you can always appreciate a scene like this. I always have my little theories and stuff. But it's like, why do they really need to do all that?
They're doing their push-up. Winter was eyeing your boy Brian. And Winter was...
And Anthony.
Was looking at Anthony like, I didn't know he had all that under his shirt. And he does. He has all that under his shirt. When we see Denise also at the party, and here's my thing, it wasn't really a pool party because it's day 2 and nobody was in the pool getting their hair wet.
It was still a pool party because they were by the pool.
And someone asked Denise.
Nope, it's not even someone. Rashid told the women, you guys told us to take our shirts off. You guys need to start taking off your little skirts things too. Start to review yourself, the bikini that you have on. Mm-hmm. And Denise was not feeling that comment coming from Rashid. Maybe it came from someone else, but coming from Rashid, she does not care for him.
No.
She says that he reminds her of someone that she used to mess with in the past. Very narcissistic, only about him type of personality. So even though her ego is 5'10", she's not feeling his ego being on 6'4" or however tall he is.
But then we see Denise in the next scene, and it's with Kalfani. And Kalfani, now that's the one to me who she's vibing with. And what I got from this, they just had conversations about life. That just seems to be Denise's forte with Kalfani, and their deep conversations. But here's the thing. Kalfani said at the very end, he likes that. He enjoys that deep vibe, that what they're having. I was surprised he said that, because in the other episode, the first one, when they had those deep conversations about her DV incidents and things like that, I was like, I thought that was a little bit too much, but maybe Kalfani is there to help her through whatever. And then it looks like when Kalfani starts looking at someone else with a twinkle in his eye, she's not here for it.
She's not having that.
Now we see David and Alicia. They're inside playing pool while everyone else is outside or doing whatever at the pool party. And they get to talking about relationships and what they're looking for. And it turns out that Alicia says that she wants a man pretty much who could step it up and be there for her and take over with the bills and the kids and just everything in life. And Dave was like, yeah, that's cool and all, but let's just say we were dating and you have kids already and I don't. So you would expect me to jump in? He goes, nah, it's pretty much not like that. Like, I don't see it that way.
Well, I don't think she was looking for him to take over all the responsibilities. But she said, you know, they don't have, well, the man doesn't have to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that she has kids and she has things in line and order. And the way he said it made it kind of seem like, you know, those are your kids. You do what you do with them, and that's it. Because that's how I took it. I was like, David, though, that chuckling and all that stuff isn't really helping you out any, because it's not funny. It's a serious conversation.
It was a serious conversation. I did get that same, like, that's you, pretty much. But at the same time, you know, I did understand what he was saying, but I did.
Well, what was he saying?
He was saying, like, you know, in my opinion, like, yes, those are your children, and if we started dating, like, do you expect me to come in and probably, like, discipline and take over all your bills and this right away? Because Alicia did say she wants a man who is ready to step up. Yes, ready to love, but I mean, you still have to give someone time if you have kids to come in and foster that relationship too. Just because you're dating somebody, they shouldn't just come in and be like daddy or someone to be mommy. And after all that and the pool playing and the pool party outside, we see Simone and Winter stepping up and just being all kind of like nice and kikiing in many people's face. Yeah, you're supposed to mingle, but you know, they're really trying to make sure that they're not on the bottom too. But I didn't see anything with Winter. It's just that Simone may have a little target on her because, you know, she's got that wallet.
Well, she did open up more, so I see that she might not be in the bottom next week.
So now we get to a Jenga party that Rashid sets up. And there's different people there. You got Alex, Adriana, Anthony, Denise was there.
I don't know why she came.
Brian. Anyways, you know, it was a life-size Jenga. You know, I thought that was cute. But this Jenga game was different because it had different little truth or dares on it and different little questions. And so when Rashid was playing, one of the questions was like, turn to me, give me a kiss or something like that. And who do you think he kissed?
Denise?
No. He kissed
Joking.
Adriana. Now, I wasn't surprised at that, and that kiss looked like it had a little bit of intimacy in it, too. Did you notice?
Of course, because they like each other. And then when Brian had his turn, and his was a truth or dare, he had to ask the person next to him to give him a kiss, and it was Alex. I was like, okay, I see some flames sparking with those two. Hopefully something genuine comes out with them.
I don't think it was a truth or dare, give me a kiss. It was a truth or dare, and I think he was like, give me a kiss. And I think that's how he got a kiss. Now we finally get to the end where the ladies meet up with nephew Tommy to decide who's going home, the reasons why, who they like, and the reasons why. And of course, the front runners, Anthony.
Well, are they really front runners?
To some, yes. Anthony, Calfani, or was it Chris? It's Chris too. But here's the thing. A few ladies are liking Calfani.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Denise likes that. You know, is it the shady cameraman thing where they look at you like?
Of course it is. Because Denise is the one who seems like it's going to stir up the most drama, because when they start getting into the men who they weren't feeling, and Rashid comes up, and we already know how Adriana feels about Rashid. She's ready to take up that for him because that's one of her main boos.
Mm-hmm.
Denise, with her comments, said, you know, besides other ladies saying that, you know, he's dry, he only cares about luxurious things, she said that, you know, I think he's a narcissist because he seems like a college frat boy, tall, light-skinned, luxury. Those are exact words that she said. The camera turned to nephew Tommy because, you know, he's light-skinned. He's like, there's nothing wrong with being light-skinned and being in a fraternity. Like, that doesn't make you an automatic narcissist.
Right, and liking finer things. And I think that put off a few people because they're like, well, that's not a narcissist in my book. She needs to look up that definition.
Well, that was Adriana who said that. And I was like, okay, now I can see where this light skin, dark skin thing is going to come in play throughout the end of the season or in the middle of the season because of what her comments were just on right now. Also, when it came down to Raymond, because Adriana also had, you know, a little bit of a connection and had a talk with him. And she said that, yeah, he's ready to love, but he doesn't want to be married. And she knows that's what pretty much everyone wants to be on the show is married.
Yeah.
And Denise said something along the lines of, you know, he would only come to you with that because you're the type of woman. Something along those lines, which was shady. And I'm like, so you're throwing shade at her because she likes Rashid and you don't because his ego is bigger than yours. And then you're throwing shade at her because you think she's younger, so you think she's going to settle with anything? Like, what is all this hate and animosity coming from?
Well, she don't think she's younger. She is younger, and she knows she's the youngest one there. And it is a bunch of negativity coming from Denise. Like, wherever it's coming from, I don't know, but I think a lot of it stems from previous relationships because she's having those deep conversations with Kalfani, and I think she's still harboring some of that here.
That's clear.
And David's on the chopping block for not wanting to be maybe the man of the house or take over bills or help with kids or just being the overall man that Alicia needs or someone here would need. And they're like, that's not good enough for right now. So Tommy says, all right, well, we're going to have you guys go out and tell them face to face. Raymond is out with Adriana. David is out with Denise. Rashid is out with Winter. Now, when it came to Winter talking to Rashid, you know, she told him, like, you know, we need to know who the real you is, the authentic you.
Show us the real you.
Yeah, and, you know, let him know that he was on a chopping block and to really tone it down because what he was putting out, the ladies weren't necessarily feeling. So he decided, okay, you know, I'm going to do that. And he was like, whew, he was relieved. Now, when Raymond met with Adriana, now I thought that was the best person to talk to him because he vibes with Adriana. They had a conversation. Raymond really felt like he was on a date. So, you know, I felt like, okay, so he's not going to have his heart maybe broken as much. But when it came time to telling him the reasons why about the marriage just being on paper and everybody wants it more validated, you know, he understood that and was like, you know, the woman that's out there for me is for me because I'm a magnet. I'm a draw to me. When they got to David and Denise, I'm like, now, I just don't see this being the right person to talk to David. Or do you think that they sent her to talk to him because they both have big personalities?
You already know.
And when they got to talking, you know, Denise has this way about her of just like, it's hard to explain, like, you know, dismissive. That's what it is. It's a dismissive look like, well, you know, you up here telling the ladies that, you know, you can't be the man they need you to be or the man they want you to be. So we don't think you're ready to love. He was like, for real? Like, no, I know I'm ready to love.
He was disputing the claims because basically, like we were talking about earlier, about that whole conversation he had with Alicia about paying for everything. He said that's not what he 100% meant, and then he wanted to reword it. But Denise was kind of like, you know, it's too late. Well, there's nothing that you can really say about it. And I'm just like, Denise, yeah, she wasn't the right one to say it. Production or whomever probably just chose her, you know, to add a little bit of drama, a little bit of flair. But Denise wasn't even trying to be like compassionate or nothing at all.
Exactly.
Not saying that she's a woman, she has to be compassionate. But you kind of don't even know him. He's kind of like a stranger, so you could at least did it a little bit easier.
Right. Hear him out to see what he had to say, and then maybe take back what he had to say to the ladies. You know, maybe it was a misunderstanding. Who knows?
All right, everyone. So that was the end of this week's episode. And this episode did give, and I can see where they're going with this season. And I'm very interested when they're going to have that light skin, dark skin talk, because I feel like Mom and I should do a live about that because that is a very interesting conversation to have. What did you think about this episode, Mom?
Very much so. You know, that was one of the main things I said in my casting special about one of the episodes I was looking forward to, the light skin, dark skin conversation. But outside of that, I believe the show is progressing well. It's interesting. I just want to see more couples get matched up instead of right now it seems like the similar ones being matched up or whatever. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But here we go.
Well, let us know what you guys thought about this week's episode in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching. We really, truly do appreciate it, especially because it's our first season doing this. So thank you for coming along for the ride and subscribing to our channel, and for those who have already been subscribed. So make sure you tell another friend to subscribe and watch us do Ready to Love and all the other shows that we have, and share it to other people who also watch Ready to Love and the other shows we have.
Thank you for watching, and as always, live simply, be grateful.